There is a prevailing theory in modern geopolitics that a single, unified power structure scripts wars, orchestrates financial crashes, and enforces totalitarian control. This theoretical architecture relies on a highly specific cast of characters: ancient secret societies, legacy banking families, elite networking summits, and modern mega-asset managers. We are going to subject the load-bearing pillars of this theory to a rigorous stress test. We will evaluate these claims against historical documentation, macroeconomic baselines, and statistical survival modeling. When subjected to empirical scrutiny, a coordinated global cabal reveals itself to be an absolute mathematical and economic impossibility. The Bavarian Illuminati was an actual organization, founded in 1776 by university professor Adam Weishaupt. It functioned as a small club of Enlightenment thinkers focused on reducing church influence in government. Its lifespan was incredibly brief. In 1785, the Duke of Bavaria banned all secret societies, seized their documents, and the group disbanded completely within a decade. Modern hysteria surrounding the Illuminati stems entirely from a 1970s science fiction satirical book series called the Illuminatus Trilogy, which was written specifically to troll paranoid readers. Moving from ancient societies to economic powerhouses, we find the modern claim that the Rothschild family secretly controls $500 trillion and owns every central bank on Earth. This chart plots the actual limits of the global economy. The total gross domestic product of the entire planet sits between $100 and $110 trillion, completely dwarfed by the physically impossible $500 trillion Rothschild claim. The modern tropes surrounding the family trace back to an 1846 anti-Semitic French pamphlet written under the pseudonym Satan. It falsely claimed Nathan Rothschild crashed the London stock market after the Battle of Waterloo. Historical records show their wealth was heavily diluted among hundreds of descendants over 2 centuries. Today, Rothschild & Company operates as a modest boutique investment firm, eclipsed by modern financial institutions. Alongside the Rothschilds sits the lore of the Rockefeller family, heavily rumored to operate a shadow throne controlling global oil and health policy. John D. Rockefeller did become history's richest American by establishing the Standard Oil Company. By the early 20th century, that company possessed a massive, sprawling industrial footprint before facing severe government intervention. In 1911, the United States Supreme Court smashed that monopoly. As this diagram visualizes, the company was fractured into 34 separate independent entities. Today, the collective Rockefeller family fortune sits between $10 and $15 billion, split among over 200 living descendants. Individual modern tech billionaires possess vastly more personal wealth and digital control than legacy 19th century money. The belief that wars and recessions are perfectly scripted by a central board relies on a psychological flaw called hyperintentionality, the urge to believe every chaotic geopolitical event serves a hidden grand purpose. This runs into the coordination problem. Over 190 nations exist on Earth. Claiming that nuclear-armed rivals seamlessly script fake wars requires believing millions of diplomats, generals, and spies execute an elaborate play without a single leak. In reality, nations fight over real, tangible existential friction: critical shipping routes, microchip supply chains, and physical borders. Modern networking clubs are often misidentified as shadow governments. The Bilderberg Group, established in 1954 to foster European and North American dialogue, is an off-the-record networking dinner holding zero legal authority or voting power. A similar focus is placed on the World Economic Forum in Davos, accused of using the Great Reset master plan to force a global dictatorship. Led by Klaus Schwab, the WEF functions primarily as a glorified public relations summit for corporate executives. The infamous quote, "You'll own nothing and be happy," did not originate as a WEF master plan. It was plucked from an exploratory essay written by a Danish politician analyzing potential tech trends in a rental economy. Modern Masonic lodges are aging fraternal organizations that spend the majority of their time fundraising for local children's hospitals. At the collegiate level, Yale's Skull and Bones is heavily rumored to program its members to run the CIA. High-profile alumni like George W. Bush have historically fueled this specific lore. Yet, including political rivals like John Kerry proves it operates strictly as an undergraduate networking club, lacking any institutional apparatus to manage intelligence agencies. When legacy myths fall short, focus shifts to modern mega asset managers, specifically the claim that Vanguard, State Street, and BlackRock own all global corporations and media networks. This flowchart visualizes the strict legal distinction between asset management and ownership. The $10 trillion under BlackRock flows in from millions of everyday retirement accounts, pensions, and 401ks. BlackRock deploys these funds across global equities, but they do not own the underlying corporate entities. When economic and political theories fail to hold up to scrutiny, the lore shifts to its most extreme fringes. Theories claiming alien reptilian shapeshifters harvest human energy. There is exactly zero biological, physical, or genetic evidence supporting this claim. In reality, the entire concept of reptilian overlords was borrowed directly from popular 1980s science fiction television tropes. Deprived of macroeconomic logic, global cover-up narratives inevitably devolve into pure, evidence-free fantasy to sustain themselves. Physicist Dr. David Robert Grimes developed a statistical equation designed to calculate exactly how long a massive cover-up can realistically survive. This graph plots the viable lifespan of a conspiracy based on 3 variables: the number of conspirators involved, the amount of time passed, and the intrinsic probability of a leak. Grimes established the baseline of this equation by analyzing real historical intelligence leaks. Even in highly compartmentalized programs, leaks are inevitable, as demonstrated by Edward Snowden's exposure of the NSA PRISM program. The math proves that a conspiracy requiring 1,000 people will cross the threshold of discovery and leak in roughly 5 years. A global shadow government requiring over 100,000 politicians, bankers, military personnel, and scientists is statistically guaranteed to leak within 3.5 years. A centuries-old zero-leak cover-up defies the laws of probability. If mathematics, macroeconomics, and historical archives completely disprove a global cabal, we have to ask why the myth endures so stubbornly. The answer lies in a cognitive phenomenon called proportionality bias. The human brain struggles to accept that massive, world-altering catastrophes, like global pandemics, sudden market crashes, or presidential deaths, can be triggered by random viruses or lone actors. Our cognition demands a proportional cause for massive effects, forcing us to invent grand architects to balance out uncontrolled randomness. Believing in a highly coordinated, evil shadow government operates as a psychological defense mechanism. A malevolent cabal is paradoxically more comforting than the true reality. Nobody is at the wheel, and the geopolitical world is chaotic, unpredictable, and entirely driverless.